With the official worldwide release of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero right around the corner, hey, let me tell you fellas, that guy Jun Furutani is a busy man. I respect it 100%, and that is why today we are back again with another exclusive interview that he just completed with IGN. And you guys probably can't see this because I have it cropped a certain way. This is a really long interview right here, so I'm hoping that he's going to be answering all of the questions, or at least majority of them, that we still have left, even though we got that massive reveal trailer a couple of days ago, and we're starting to see footage from the final build of the full game. But without further ado, fellas, since this is going to be a long one, let's just hop right in. So I just, experimenting with a new layout in these types of videos where I'm just mainly reading to you guys. And don't worry, it was bugging me too. I also found out and fixed whatever that color issue was in the last video. So starting off with this interview from IGN with producer Jun Furutani, guys, this is going to say Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's producer talks encyclopedia mode, what if scenarios, and more. All right, I don't know why why am I nervous reading this? Maybe because they said what if scenarios. That's kind of scaring me. I don't want that to get, I don't want to see too much of that before the game comes out. I'm down with everything else that's being shown right now, but not too much on the custom battles and the what ifs. But not too much on those, all right? And also too, before we get started with this video, guys, I obviously don't mind doing these types of videos. This one is for all my fellas and ladies out there that either, you don't like reading, or maybe you're just too caught up doing something else. You're busy right now, so you can't read. Hey, I got you, all right? Just sit back, put me in that one ear pod in the right ear, and let's just do this thing, man. So this is just the introductory paragraph right here. We're going to skip over this and go straight to the first question that they asked Jun Furutani, with IGN asking, can you talk a little bit about what it's like to create a story mode for something like Dragon Ball that's so long, has so many sequels, movies, battles, and character plot lines? How do you decide what to focus on and what to cut, and what to just lightly gloss over? And Jun Furutani is going to reply to this first question by stating, yeah, so a good way to think about it, this is about the bottom line, which is that this game's a battle game. So in the episode battles that you played earlier, we wanted to focus on which battles highlighted the characters the best in the story. And obviously, the side story stuff you can kind of see in the cutscenes. So I think a better way of thinking about it is, more than fully enjoying the story, we wanted players to fully enjoy the best battles in the Dragon Ball franchise. And additionally, you played the episode battles earlier. Wow, they just got to play a little bit of everything, didn't they? We didn't really go into the branching maps, but we wanted to also focus on battles that could potentially branch out into different things. And I guess these are kind of like the what if scenarios that he's referencing here. What if this guy defeated him instead of losing to him? Like, for example, what if Goku defeated Raditz without dying or something like that? I'm pretty sure I saw that on the timeline on Twitter. Like those kinds of battles Furutani's gonna go on. So yeah, that's something that we put extra focus on, the branching fights. Hate that I got spoiled for that too, man. Like, they got the what if, the thing I just talked about. Sorry if I spoiled anybody else out there, but I did see that on the timeline. It's floating around. Guys, if you don't want to know anything about the episode battle, like branch off what ifs, you might still want to stay off of social media for another 2 weeks. So the second question is gonna be, so I actually wanted to touch upon those branches. Can you go into a little detail about how significant those branches actually go? How much of a different game am I playing if I follow one of those branches versus someone who just followed the canonical story of Dragon Ball? And Furutani is gonna reply, so it's a really hard question to answer because depending on which branch we're talking about, it could skew in a completely different direction. But some branches just might go back to the actual canonical route again. For example, he's gonna go on, the example he used is very early on. If you were to play the Goku episode battles, when you fight Raditz, there's some smaller branches that have been there, but it takes you back to the canonical route. And obviously after Raditz is Frieza, or Vegeta, excuse me, and after Vegeta is Frieza. So yeah, some of them are just blips. I guess some of them kind of take you in a very drastically different direction. So the following question number 3, and they're really prying with this one, but I respect it though. So I know you probably can't say, but I gotta ask, through these what if scenarios, is there any chance that we could possibly see any new fusions born in the game? And they trying to take it back to the Budokai 2 days. So Furutani's gonna reply to this by saying, very cool question. I can just imagine him like rubbing his chin at this question. Hard question to answer. We want to leave the what ifs a little hidden for until the game is finally out. And then they're just gonna leave it alone after that. He's gonna say, we'll leave it at that for now. All we want is for Gohan to catch the earring. That's all we've been asking for like 6 months now. If Gohan can catch the earring in the what if mode, We are eating for life, man. Yo, I'm gonna have to go straight to the what ifs, bro. Yo, I gotta find that. If they're teasing that we might have original fusions in the game, oh my god. They ate. They ate that. So the next question is gonna start off by asking, so I think that one of the things that Tenkaichi fans appreciate most about the series are all the little touches and keen attention to detail. Like, some matches have unique dialogue when you start a match between two certain characters, or the fact that Mr. Satan can't fly, so he uses a jetpack in Tenkaichi 3. Are there any small touches meant specifically for big fans of Dragon Ball that you're particularly proud of in this game? And Furutani's gonna reply to this by saying, yeah, so one of the things that they paid close attention to is how the characters actually move and the expressions that they have. I actually haven't really noticed that too much, but I've seen people on Twitter talking about like the expressions and things like that too, so I'll probably look a little bit more into that. And going deeper, Furutani's gonna say, you saw the various different versions of Goku that were in the game, and depending on which Goku from which Dragon Ball that you're playing, the way his clothes rip will be completely... Oh, that is a really cool detail. Oh, that actually is pretty cool. So, I don't know. Frieza, I guess, there's a very distinct way Goku fights Frieza. There was also a very distinct way of how his clothes ripped, and something more recent like Super, there's a very different way that his clothes rip there as well. So very subtle touches like that is something that they pay close attention to, but wanted to keep it as true to the original work as possible. The other thing is the hairstyles as well. Subtle differences that the true Dragon Ball fans will notice. You mentioned depending on the characters' combinations that they have different conversations, but also if you were to throw certain characters with certain characters, there's a special action that happens in the game. Depending on if you have certain characters with certain characters, there's a special action that happens in the game. Now I'm rubbing my chin. All right. There's a lot still left to be discovered. I respect it. So the next question is going to ask, can you talk to me a little bit about the encyclopedia mode and just what made you want to include this in the game? And what's something that you're particularly fond of with regards to it? And Furutani's going to answer this by saying, yeah, so the encyclopedia mode, I guess it may not have been called encyclopedia mode in the past, but there was a mode where Chi-Chi introduces the characters in the previous version. But again, we wanted to kind of power that up, as you saw earlier, with Videl and Bulma as well. So yeah, it's something that we felt it was something that players enjoyed back then and obviously would continue to enjoy with the newest Sparking Zero. So yeah, that's something that we wanted to implement into the game. And the next question is gonna ask, I know you guys announced that you're announcing the giant roster of 150 plus characters, but obviously this is an age where there's DLC to keep games going. Do you have any DLC plans for Sparking Zero? Are there going to be character packs, additional story content, or anything else on the horizon? And Furutani's gonna reply to this. This is a big question right here too. So in regards to the characters, they have plans to release 3 DLC packs covering characters from Dragon Ball Super Superhero and Dragon Ball Daima. So there's basically 3 packs total from Dragon Ball Super Superhero and Dragon Ball Daima split into 3 basically. It's kind of a weird way to do it. Are they gonna like overlap them in one of these packs, or is one just gonna be a little bit smaller than the other? I don't know how they're gonna do that. That's gonna be interesting to see though. And the next question is gonna say, I know it's thinking maybe too far ahead. Oh, I know where he's going with this one, but I just want to get your thoughts on it. But there's a lot of cool characters in the Dragon Ball Super manga right now. I knew that was coming, that I think a lot of fans would love to see, like Granola and Moro. You spitting right now, but we already know the deal with this. We talked about this over and over again for months. Are those characters that are on your radar, or would you like to touch upon characters in the manga that haven't gotten to appear in the anime yet? Furutani's gonna keep this short and sweet. We already know how this goes with this question, man. At this point, the short answer is it's difficult for us to talk about these things. Yeah, due to various situations, I'm sure you understand. Yeah, bro, we overstand. Trust me. We're just waiting, hoping, and praying, but we overstand the issues that come with trying to do that. We talked about it a million times. So the interviewer is going to go on by asking another good question right here. So talk to me about the stages of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Do you know about how many will be in the game? And are there any unique elements of them individually? So how many stages are going to be in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's base game? And maybe will we get more in the future? Furutani is going to answer, as of right now, there's 12 stages in the game. And that may or may not change in the future, but there's a ton of gimmicks per stage. So there's going to be 12 stages in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. We were kind of fearful of this, but I mean, it is what it is at this point, I guess. And he says that that may or may not change in the future, so here's to hoping that maybe stages start to come, you know, in the DLC packs eventually. I don't know, man. For example, if we're fighting on planet Manu or planet Namek, if you were to use a strong move going down from the sky and you happen to hit the planet, you'll see a change into when Frieza is fighting Goku towards the end of that saga. Pretty sure you recognize what I'm talking about. We got you. Another one that we could bring up is the Tenkaichi stage, where we have fans watching from the outside. In the very beginning, you could really only fight in the area where you're supposed to fight, but for example, if somebody were to use a skill that goes into the bleachers, the people who are watching will run away, and then it would kind of effectively expand the stage, so fighters are able to fight in a wider stage as well. And I think we saw in some gameplay from a couple of months ago that you're actually able to fight outside of the World Tournament arena as well. I think that's mad cool. Like in the city outside of the World Tournament, that's pretty cool to me. And with this excerpt in red right here, I think they're just referring to like lock on and lock off, but we're still answering the same question about the stages. So down here below, Jun Furutani is going to continue by saying, yeah, and another thing, I think I kind of mentioned this to you when you were playing, but you're able to lose sight of your enemy. You're not always constantly locked onto them, and that's kind of by design. But because if you do a big move and you blast them far away, you're not going to be able to find them right away, especially if you're an android that has no key power and you're not able to detect them. That's actually a really cool detail. Like when you lock off of an android, it's not as easy as to lock back onto them as it is other characters because they don't have key for you to sense. That's actually pretty cool. Oh, wait a minute, I just thought of something. So what if you're playing against a character that uses God Key, but you're not playing as a character that uses or can sense God Key? Does that work the same way? That would be pretty cool if that worked the exact same way as the androids, right? So Jun Furutani is going to continue by saying, so yeah, that's another thing that we want you to look out for. And obviously, going back to your question, you were asking about the stages, there's tons of objects on the map, so you could kind of use them to line of sight yourself away from enemies as well. So that's something that we want players to experiment with, and you got a kind of first-hand experience as well. Dude, I'm really curious now about that God Key theory. That's one of the first things I might have to try out when I get the game. So Furutani is going to continue this by saying another thing that he wants our fans to try out is that, you know how in Dragon Ball, when you're using a certain skill, when you're charging, you kind of see the dust fly up in the air, and sometimes the characters in the show just come out of the dust and perform the attack. That's also something that they harped on as well. So yeah, there's ways to combat this dust from going up also, or you could properly kind of get the dust to fly up more, so you create a wall that makes it harder for the enemy to using the environment to cloak yourself for like a second or two. That's pretty sneaky, man. So this next question, another good question right here. Crossplay is something that I don't believe is currently planned for Sparking Zero. If it is, please correct me, but can you talk to me a little bit about what the challenges are with regards to including crossplay in this game? And is it something that you hope to include post-launch? Furutani is going to reply to this by answering, yeah, it's one of those touchy subjects that's very difficult for him to explain. The short professional answer is, yeah, there's difficulties that we have to go through to get crossplay to work. So yes, that's where we stand right now. And as for your question about the future, obviously we don't know yet, but yes, it sounds like crossplay is something that they want to eventually implement in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So fellas, y'all already know what that means, man. When they answer a question like this, we gotta treat it just like the split screen multiplayer situation. They already want to do it at some point in the future. It's just hard, but we gotta let them know exactly how much we want crossplay in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I'm sure you fellas already know what to do. We just got to keep getting in contact with Bandai, letting them know how we feel about it. And hey, maybe in 6 months from now, a year from now, we're all playing together Xbox, PC, and PS5. That's the dream right there. So the last question is, speaking of single player content, you have the episode battle, but what else is there for single players after they complete the campaign? Is there any kind of challenges or rewards awaiting those who want to keep playing Sparking Zero after finishing the story, but maybe don't want to go online and play other people? And Furutani is going to answer this final question by saying one of the features that a player, like you mentioned earlier, would probably partake in is custom battles. Obviously, that's the mode where people could go in, create their own custom battles and share them or just play them for themselves. So yeah, what you could potentially do is make a really hard custom battle and try to clear it yourself. And after that, you could share it out with everybody. Or maybe if you want to try what other players are making as well, you could go search for what other players have made, and they could use these tags that indicate what kind of battle it is, so you could search in the in-game by tags. So if I had to assume, we're probably going to be able to like type in the character's name and all the custom battles online with that character would come up, or maybe certain stages or capsules and things like that. You'd probably want to search for like the type of characters being used and the capsules that people are using on them as well, so you can kind of gauge what the difficulty of that custom battle would be. But Furutani is going to continue on by saying, so I mean, there's thousands of, I mean, not thousands, but it's pretty limitless in terms of what you could play after clearing episode battles. Your limitations, if you're not an online player, episode battles are not your limitations, guys. There's still a ton of content in this game for you to experience. Even if you're not technically playing online PvP, if you just, search for all these difficult custom battles that you could play, you're still playing single player. So the requirements for uploading a custom battle is that you need to be able to clear it. Oh, that's pretty funny. So all of you guys that want to just put out the hardest custom battles out there, and you got to be able to beat it first. So that you can't just set impossible demands to the players if you can and upload it and be like, hey guys, try to clear my super Z+ hard Mario Maker level. But on the flip side of that is like, okay, you make a really hard stage, you clear it, and it's kind of a way of showing off to other players. Like, hey fellas, check this out. I just made this super crazy hard custom battle. I put the red Pataras or the best capsules on Ultra Instinct Goku and Beerus and Whis. They got infinite Ultra Instinct. It doesn't take any key for any of them. I cleared it in 20 minutes. What's up? Can you do it? What's up? What's up? But anyway, fellas, I think that is going to do it for IGN's. This was, like I said, a really long interview with producer Jun Furutani. He did answer a lot of questions that we still had left pertaining to the game. One of the bigger ones was about the stages. So there are officially 12 stages for us to play on in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Will there be more in the future when it comes to like DLC packs, or maybe by the grace of God a free update or anything like that? Who knows right now? Only time will tell. They even answered a lot of questions about what if and custom battle as well, and episode battle. So this was a giant info dump for us. We even got teased about possible what if fusions as well, bro. This is like, this is game of life right here, man. Not even game of the year. This is game of life right here. But that is gonna do it for this one, fellas. Have a great day, and I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow.